Today's episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. Start building your website today on squarespace.com. Enter the offer code FOOTBALLERS at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah.
We're here. We're back. It's Tuesday.
What a game last night.
That was a good game. That was a great game. That was fun to watch. We'll talk a little bit about that on today's show because we had some fantasy implications in that game too, obviously. And yeah, it's November 3rd. We're back again. It's Tuesday. It's our waiver show. We are the Fantasy Footballers. I am Andy, joined by Mike and Jason.
Hello.
And you can find us on the web, thefantasyfootballers.com. That's where you can submit us questions. Check us out on Twitter at the FFBallers. You can also visit our fantasy football community. There is 900 plus of you in our on jointhefoot.com in our fantasy football community, asking questions, sharing information, making your teams better. So it's always fun to go on there and see people's stories. I got an email today from somebody who is a Foot Clan member who was 0-5 in 2 leagues and is now back in the playoff picture. In both leagues.
Love it. There you go.
So, and I, by the way, I'm officially 4-4 in that league. I started 1-4 in, and I have the.
So
I'm
you
coming.
got the second highest points scored in the league, Andy.
Yeah,
behind me.
I know, behind you. So.
All right.
Alrighty, we have what do we got? We got some news and notes. Got a lot to update you on. The kind of injury-geddon, whatever took place on Sunday. We got to let you know how the players are doing. We've got our full stream ahead section today, and we're going to go through all your waiver wire pickups. This is kind of, it seems like this is kind of a monster week.
Monster week. The last few weeks I've been really disappointed with the waiver options. Not so this week. There are a lot of guys worth spending some money or some waiver wire priority on.
Yeah, and I think even more, when I say that, I mean need. There's going to be more need this week, and there's bye weeks, big bye weeks, so that'll be good. Quick question of the day. How confident would you be heading into the fantasy football playoffs with Andrew Luck at the helm?
I would be decently confident. And here and I base that on the fantasy playoff schedule. I believe Andrew Luck has one of the better schedules for quarterbacks in week 14, 15, 16, which are the predominant fantasy playoff weeks. And the thing is he has stunk. I mean, he's been terrible. You watch the games and something's wrong with him.
UGLY.
Yes.
Ugly. Ugly.
However, if you look at the fantasy production, I mean, he still keeps squeaking out decent performances, and that's while he's sucking.
Didn't he enter? He entered the fourth quarter
negative 2.1
with negative points.
Yeah.
And what did he end up finishing with?
About 18, 19.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. This is why, quarterbacks just score.
However, next week, Andrew Luck takes on the Broncos.
And that so
wow. So the Texans, I think they're on bye, aren't they? Yeah, they're on bye.
Yep.
So they can't, but they could go into the division lead just by
de facto
the Indianapolis Colts losing.
Oh man, that's crazy. I will say this: I'm not confident in Andrew Luck getting me to the fantasy playoffs.
Would you be more confident in Cam Newton right now than Andrew Luck?
About the same.
If he keeps dancing every first down he gets,
dude, he's
great.
Do you guys really think that he can sustain playing the way he is right now? You think he's going to be alive and playing every single game by the end of the year?
By the end of this year,
he's a truck. He's a truck.
I understand that he's a truck, but you can't get hit like that continually and not suffer something.
John Gruden couldn't get over the hits. Every time he took a hit, he'd just be like, Well, gee whiz, in my day, we didn't want our quarterbacks getting hit like this. This is just,
Yeah, because they know that if Cam Newton goes down, well, I guess Derek Anderson was great last year.
Yeah.
But most of the time your main quarterback goes down, you're done.
They're done if he goes down. Their whole offense is predicated on the ability for him to run the ball. They have Ted Ginn and Corey Brown running routes. I mean, it's just he's a selective passer. That pass he made, though, in overtime to Olsen, that kind of put Olsen in a position to go make a play on it, got them down into field goal range to tie it back up. Really an impressive throw. Many impressive. The throw to Ginn.
Yes, the throw to Ginn was perfect.
And it's all back foot, man. It's crazy.
Newton, the touch was there. That's something that I've felt was missing, and he had some great passes last week. And as the Arizona fan, I was very happy to see the Arizona version of Ted Ginn show up yesterday after he's been playing pretty well. It was frustrating. Like, why can't you play that well last year?
Yeah, well, he did drop a horrible, now forgotten pass.
Yeah, that was a game-winning pass.
All right,
But before we move on,
hit
the button there. We got several tweets.
This is terrible.
Several tweets. There was quite the debate yesterday between T.Y. Hilton and Dante Moncrief, who can score 5 points, and this poor listener.
He had both of them.
And many people are tweeting us following, saying it's not going to happen. So either way, that listener wins. I'm sorry, you lost. 5 points.
Both players could not get 5 points.
Just awful.
And the joke I made at the end of the show about the Bermuda Triangle bet that we should have made, where I take Hilton, Jason takes Moncrief, and you take Andre Johnson, and we all laughed. Andre Johnson had like infinity more points, it seemed like. All right, so let's go ahead. Every week we like to read reviews from the listeners. This show exists for you, because of you, so we like to give shout-outs to our fans and read reviews that are funny or we like. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now.
Review-A-Saurus-Rex.
This one comes in from Mike D, and it's called Staying in the Flames of Fantasy Football. What can't I say about the Fantasy Footballers podcast? The only bad thing about it is when I'm done listening to my daily dose, I have to wait a whole day for the next one to be delivered to my pocket. I've been in a highly competitive 12-team league for 8 seasons, and I've only made the playoffs twice. I started listening to these guys before the season, through my draft, and never miss an episode. The Fantasy Footballers have helped me fill to the brim with knowledge and build and adjust a winning squad that now sits atop my league. Starts, sits, streams of the week, and choice morsels on the waiver wire keep me in the flames weekly while leaving my league mates eating dirt.
Your league makes?
League mates eating dirt.
Dirt cake. It's dirt cake.
Dirt cake.
Learn to read.
The Fantasy Footballers is a must listen, and he is
what's his team name there?
His where's that?
The Connecticut Coheeds. Yes, thank you, Mike D.
Yes, very appreciated.
Yes. Does that mean what is dirt? Is dirt cake Jeremy Macklin? Is he?
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Cannibal.
the dirty cake.
All right, thanks for the review. We appreciate it. It helps the show out if you leave those reviews on iTunes. So we like to read one every week. Let's go ahead and get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
I don't think we've ever had a just pure news and notes show, but it's feeling like the amount of stuff going on.
Yes, huge news.
All right, let's start at the top. Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis traded to the Broncos. Tell me what this means for fantasy owners.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we saw Virgil Green kind of start getting involved in the actual pass catching last week. Finally, after Owen Daniels has simply disappointed the entire year, and to the point of thinking, hey, maybe we should pick up Virgil Green. And while I was forming that thought and thinking about it, Vernon Davis gets traded over to the Broncos, and I believe that he kind of slides right into that Owen Daniels role. Virgil Green will go back to being a blocker because the O-line hasn't been
He's a great blocker.
He's a great blocker, and they need him to block, unfortunately for Virgil Green in his fantasy outlook. But Vernon Davis, if you've watched him win healthy, he can still get it done. So there is a pretty strong opportunity here for Vernon Davis. I'm not blowing a huge fab for it, and I'm not using high priority to get him. But let's say you're in a tight end needy position, I'll take a flyer on him. But I'm not
Vernon Davis
super
or
excited.
Vernon Davis or Heath Miller.
Heath Miller.
Okay. Let's see, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is out with a kidney injury, and this is an indefinite injury. From what I read, he had to go to the hospital after symptoms got worse after the game. And so no real timetable yet. We'll find out more. But right now, I would count on him being out this week. They said he's going to miss time. And so big blow to Keenan Allen owners out there. And the Chargers, I was telling you yesterday, they're 2-6.
That blew me away. You're like, guess the Chargers record.
I just feel like they've been in every game, and
Yeah.
yet they're 2-6. So Keenan Allen owner. Okay, so who's the fill-in? Would you rather play Stevie Johnson or would you rather play Malcolm Floyd?
Stevie Johnson, because of the way that Keenan Allen is normally used with the short passes, I think Stevie is more likely to fill that role in.
Yeah, that's kind of how I lean, although Floyd's coming off a monster week, so he might be
But
the guy.
that's
He
what-
might be the guy that goes on the waivers.
That's what Floyd does. Is once about every 4 weeks or so, Malcolm Floyd will have a huge week. But I agree, Stevie Johnson will be more of the possession type receiver, and hopefully Antonio Gates can get healthy there.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Hey, what?
Breaking news.
Ken Wisenhunt has been fired. He accomplished 3 wins in 23 games.
Oh, Ken Wisenhunt.
I guess we could muse on Ken Wisenhunt a while as Arizona Cardinal fans, but we won't. We'll move on to the fact that Marcus Mariota is a full participant, or should be, in Wednesday's practice. Probably expect him back this week, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah.
the former coach Ken Wisenhunt had said he expects him to play.
All right, stay on top of the Brandon Marshall situation. It's too early to tell, according to head coach Todd Bowles, regarding toe and ankle injuries. Everything I've read says sore toe, sore ankle. But you kind of need both when you play wide receiver. So we also don't know about Ryan Fitzpatrick right now because he needs surgery on his left thumb at some point, but it's a pain tolerance thing right now. So he could be back in next week.
Is it pain tolerance? I thought I had read it wasn't pain tolerance. It's just, can he actually grip a ball?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to
both.
see what happens. Yeah. And Geno Smith is day-to-day, so monitor that. They have a good matchup at home. They play the Jacksonville Jaguars in New York coming off the loss. We'll have to see what happens, see if they can bounce back. Let's see here. Matt Forte news. This is big. He'll miss at least 2 weeks.
Allegedly.
Could be longer. Basically, the reports bounced all over yesterday, but here's the gist. He's going to miss some time. He should be back at some point this season, is what was told. So that's tough.
Yeah, it's just an MCL, right? No damage to the
Well,
ACL.
it's not. What is this? Sprain?
It's a strain. Wait, no, sprain.
I know. I'm trying to remember ligaments.
Sprain is
ligaments versus.
Yes. And unfortunately, Matt Forte's head coach is John Fox.
He's clever like a fox.
Oh man, he gets you with
Yeah.
that injury misinformation.
Yeah. So Deshaun Jackson's supposed to play this week against the Patriots. Either of you guys taking a flyer on him on the waivers and/or starting him?
No, I'm not, but I'm also Pierre Garçon's around a lot of waivers. He's been a viable, usable guy, and I'm less inclined to play him now just because targets.
I would pick up Djax if I needed a wide receiver. I don't know about playing him this week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I'd pick him up, yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and talk about, let's see, Kyrie Robinson. We said yesterday he probably had a broken leg. He's got a broken right tibia. He's done for the year. Do we bump up C.J. Spiller?
Yeah,
I think you bump up both of those guys because Kyrie's been heavily used, and that usage is going to have to go elsewhere, obviously. So I think both Mark Ingram and C.J. Spiller take a bump up, and maybe even Drew Brees if they've got to pass a little bit more. We saw last week he is still capable
Yes,
of
he is.
throwing that football.
And I've gotten quite a bit of questions of these trades. Should I trade away Mark Ingram? No. Mark Ingram has been awesome, and his value has gone up now with the unfortunate injury to Robinson.
Well, you got to remember, Ingram had a huge week 2 weeks ago, and he lost 2 touchdowns to Robinson.
Exactly. Robinson's not there to take touchdowns anymore, and I don't imagine that C.J. Spiller will be doing any goal line carries. So Ingram has to get at least a minor boost.
And last bit of news, Bills camp. Watkins should practice this week. Tyrod Taylor will be back, and they expect him to be not limited at all, 100% back against the Dolphins. They need a win. That'll be a good divisional game. And I like Tyrod Taylor moving forward.
Oh, yes.
So
He's
don't
back.
don't forget about him. You've probably made other plans at quarterback because you had to, but don't forget about Taylor.
Yes. People with the simple minds. Don't forget.
People with the simple minds.
That's a music reference.
Oh, I thought it was a Ken Wisenhunt reference. All right, go ahead.
That's funny.
Sorry. That one got me. Before we get into our waiver wire section, we want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Tops, and the Tops Huddle app. Listen, we've talked about the Huddle app before. Card collecting. It was the bee's knees. Guess what? It's the bee's knees again.
Ba-boom.
Digital-ease. Because with the
Digital-E.
Yeah. No.
I got you.
You're ruining the moment.
Keep going.
So Huddle features officially licensed NFL digital cards. Fans can collect cards of their favorite players from their favorite teams. Watch your collection grow by opening the packs. The phone shakes and quakes. It is a fantastic moment, a highlight, I would dare say, of your day. The app isn't just about card collecting, though. You can play your cards and earn points in a real-time daily fantasy-style game based on how players perform on the game day. So you're getting a fantasy football experience as well. Over 300 million Tops digital packs have been open since 2012, with fans ripping over a pack a second. One pack every – hold on. One. Two. The packs are opening all over the world, people. Get in on this. For football and especially fantasy football fans, the app is a must-have. Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play. Get 10 free packs today. Tops Huddle. Get in it.
Would also like to thank one of my favorite sponsors, MeUndies.
Whee!
Yes, MeUndies. They are the best underwear you will ever have in your life. 90% of your life, you're in your underwear. So get rid of your old, saggy, nonsense underwear and get MeUndies. The MeUndies is the most comfortable underwear you will ever wear. I can speak to that truly. It is insane how good they make you feel. They fit perfect. Your pants and your shorts slide right up over them. They are wonderful. MeUndies says that they are 2 times softer than the typical material because they use a special material that is sustainably sourced from the Austrian Alps. That's Alps. I mean, that is amazing stuff. But I still think that they are way more than 2 times softer. You bring them out, it's like you're touching magical material that goes on the
this
importance.
This is no joke, people.
Yeah, it really, we love MeUndies because we have them and they are fantastic. So here, I'll make it easy. Go to MeUndies.com/footballers and you get 20% off your first order and free shipping. Save even more when you buy a pack of them. They guarantee you're going to be happy with them or your first pair is free. And once you feel MeUndies on your body, you're never going back. That's true.
All right.
It is true. I'm laughing, but it's very true.
Yeah, it is. And I have a tie-dye pair, and they're wonderful. All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show, my friends. Let's get into the waiver wire.
Put me in, coach.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a big one.
Yeah, we're going to really need to be hitting the best signings here because there are a lot of guys. Let's talk about the situation. Let's start at wide receiver and talk about the situation taking place right now in Baltimore, which is, Steve Smith out with the Achilles injury. Somebody has to fill in, don't they? Is it Kamar Aiken?
It is.
Yeah, we saw in just a few quarters when Steve Smith was out, Kamar Aiken had 14 targets in that time. The targets are going to be going his direction. And unlike, what happened when Dez Bryant went out and Terrence Williams had to get the targets, he has a quarterback that can get him to him. So I think that Kamar Aiken is a must grab if you need a long-term prospect, but we have to be realistic that he's on the bye this week. One, that helps you grab him. So if you need a guy for the rest of the season, a decent play, that's good. But if you need a guy to start this week, then obviously he's not going to help you.
I think you need to monitor what they do in free agency a little bit because they're going to sign somebody, maybe a couple of guys.
Yeah, Aiken's still going to be the target hog, I think.
Who do you think they could bring in?
Who can they grab and say, okay, here's our playbook, go out there and run every single route?
You're our number one.
Not many guys, but Crockett Gilmore, I move up a little bit just from a target perspective on that team. So if you are wavering on him, it has to be a mixture of talent and opportunity, and he's got opportunity part of it. I don't think Aiken is anything special. I think this was very similar to, like, okay, let's say Keenan Allen's out for the year, right? Like, what do we think of Malcolm Floyd?
Well, Malcolm Floyd is he's a Deshaun Jackson kind of guy. He shows up big and then he disappears.
I'm not really arguing with anything anybody's saying. I'm just saying temper your expectations. Don't expect him to come in and be
he's
Steve
not going to
Smith.
be Steve Smith. Right, absolutely.
Number 18 in the wide receiver rankings right now is Tavon Austin. Tavon Austin put up a huge game last week. What do we think about him? I mean, he's on a lot of waiver wires and more than 50%. And he keeps getting it done.
You called him well this last week when you made him your start of the week, and he exploded. Part of the reason you made him your start of the week was because of matchup, and you've seen him really take advantage of good matchups. He's used, and he has the talent portion of what you're talking about. He was a high draft pick in the NFL for a reason, and he is blazing lightning fast. However, I think he has to be a matchup play type of guy to me. This week he's playing Minnesota. I'm not sure what I would expect there. He could put up 10 points. I wouldn't be shocked.
Austin is one of those guys where, yeah, he keeps doing it every single week, but are you ever really comfortable putting him in your lineup?
No.
And that's the problem with him.
But compared to guys on free agency,
yeah, sure,
I
can see that. But
he at least can give you those kind of Deshaun. I mean, he's a lot like Deshaun Jackson from a fantasy production standpoint this year. He's averaging about 14 a game in half-point PPR. He's had, 4 double-digit games, 3 single-digit games. So, yeah, I mean, that he's a guy that should be owned, I think. But, yeah, he's not going to be perfectly consistent, and Jason's right, the matchups matter. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Jason said he prefers Stevie Johnson in the absence of Keenan Allen. Stevie Johnson and Malcolm Floyd are about the same ownership percentage in all of your leagues, about 28% in ESPN leagues right now.
I think they're both good ads. I would prioritize Stevie.
I think that's the right play. He's a little bit of a, Keenan Allen in the preseason talked about them in the same breath, that type of a player.
You mean Phillip Rivers?
Who did I say?
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I did mean Phillip Rivers.
Keenan Allen says, hey, Stevie Johnson and Keenan Allen, we're good.
You saw in the beginning of the year, the first 2 weeks, Stevie Johnson came out and was great. He was targeted a lot. He caught the ball a lot. He caught touchdowns. And then he got injured and went away, and now opportunity has come back. So I do think he's a really good ad. If I was going to add anybody for this week, a matchup that I'm confident in, they're playing against Chicago, I love Stevie Johnson. He would be my number one wide receiver claim.
Monday Night Football game.
There you go.
Excellent. And the last guy I'll mention is Brandon LaFell. He is about 50% owned, so he may or may not be available. He played over 80% of the snaps last week, and he was very highly targeted. I think he had 7. So moving forward, LaFell is going to get even more involved in the offense. The thing to watch about him, like I mentioned, was as soon as they got in the red zone, he got pulled out. I don't know if that's going to continue or if that's just a because
that's what you don't know with New England. One-time game plan.
Are they working him in slower in the red zone or not? But he's on the field so much, and the Patriots are scoring so many points that Brandon LaFell will get his. But so how would you guys prioritize these guys? Aiken, Austin, Stevie Johnson, Floyd, and LaFell.
Man,
who's your number one?
Okay, rest of season or like for the next week? For next week.
How are you picking them up? Let's say you need a wide receiver.
If I'm rest of season, I take the shot on Aiken.
Okay.
If I'm looking for next week, I probably sign Stevie Johnson. That's the truth.
Yeah, I'm the same, except if I'm rest of season, I would probably take Brandon LaFell over Aiken just because of offense and the hope that he can score a lot more touchdowns than Aiken can.
Yeah, I kind of left LaFell out of my brain.
LaFell's kind of harder because he's
right.
more owned, but LaFell number one.
Yeah,
if he's not available,
I'd take
then
LaFell.
I would see Aiken that way.
All right, we need to talk about the main event here, the running back position. Yes, thank you for that. DeAngelo Williams.
Yep.
How much are you spending?
Everything.
All of it.
Everything.
So you guys are both completely 100% committed to D-Well being a top 12 back.
Everything.
Yeah, I really am. I mean, when we say we're spending everything, that means if you've got the top priority, you obviously put your claim in on him, and that means that you look at if you've got the fab system, look at your fab and look at the league, right? Because, Mike, I know in one of our leagues you have the most fab available to you. I think you've got $96 available, which is lunacy. Get involved, Mike, in your waivers. However, the next highest person only has 70. So you're bidding 71. Look at that so you don't just waste money on your fab if you know you're making, a max type bid.
But that's a good point.
DeAngelo Williams, the first 2 weeks when Le'Veon Bell was out, was the #1 running back. The offense is too good in Pittsburgh. It runs through the running back, and you know he's going to be involved. There's nobody else there that's really going to take anything of note away from DeAngelo Williams. He's looked solid.
You're not worried about Isaiah Pede?
Even this week in half a game after Le'Veon Bell got injured, he finished without a touchdown in a low-scoring game
top 12.
And was a top 12 back.
Unbelievable.
And you have to remember, DeAngelo Williams has always – I mean, you want to talk about a talented guy. He's a great runner. He's just older, and he was always in a timeshare, and he was always in a low-scoring offense. Now he's coming to a great opportunity. So he's got to be –
Yes,
everything.
has to be.
All right, so you missed out on DeAngelo Williams because he's the top ad. Everybody's going after him. You don't got the fab. You don't have the waiver priority. Let's talk about the Forte situation. Now, we don't know. There's misinformation. My prediction is that Forte misses 4 to 5 games.
Really?
Yes. I could be completely wrong. And you guys will let me know when I am.
No, not at all. Because this is all just speculation off of a.
Let's put it this way: I am treating the signing of Jeremy Langford as a 4 to 5 week ad for my team.
Okay.
So I did some research on Langford. I wanted to look at him a little bit closer because we want to know, just like we wanted to know with Char West, is he going to be a guy that can contribute to your fantasy team, or is he just a guy? You know, the 49ers are in a situation where they have to put just a guy in the backfield. Nobody's putting that guy at the top of these lists, okay? Langford was a 4th-round pick from Michigan State. He played wide receiver. He played cornerback early days, Michigan State. He's got hands, which lends itself to some baseline numbers there if he's the starter. He's a pretty talented guy. He's not a super physical guy. I don't know what we'll see around the goal line with him. He's, kind of that middle-round pick. I like him probably the same as I would have treated West with upside because he's young. You're not just getting some, the offense is okay. It's pretty good. So I would spend a decent amount of money on Langford.
Yeah, the hardship here.
Because you're fighting to get in the playoffs, and so you need a start.
Yeah, if you are fighting to get in the playoffs, then he is a great guy. He's only owned in 2% of leagues. So, you might not be able to get D-Will, but you can get Langford. He's out there and available. The difference, obviously, is that we don't know how many games he's going to be relevant. So if you're the Forte owner, then go all in or, go a lot in to make sure you get him because then you've still got rest of season covered in that spot.
In the Bears, similar to the Pittsburgh Steelers, their offense is really predicated. The running back is extremely important to the success of the offense. So I do like Langford a good bit because when Forte went out, Langford was the guy. The backfield is crowded, and there absolutely can be a surprise, which is why I'm not saying everything on Langford. I know what DeAngelo Williams is going to do and how he'll be involved. Langford, we're still kind of guessing from what they showed, but there's a lot of guys in that backfield. Kadeem Carey is still there, even though everyone's passing him on the depth chart. Just saying he's still there. The spectacular Anton Smith is there. So who knows? But as of now, I'm treating it like Langford will be the majority snap guy.
Yeah. So Langford is kind of number 2 on my list. Let's talk about some other guys. There are 3 players on bye this week, and I mention that because 3 running backs that you could probably get super cheap because of that. That's Joik Bell, Theo Riddick, and Buck Allen. They're all on bye this week. None of them are high-tier waiver wire guys, but we like to mention them because if you can sneak by and snag a guy that could be valuable down the line, Joik looked okay.
Yeah, to me, Joik Bell is the guy that I would want of the three of those. They used him in the running game, and it wasn't a great running matchup for them. And that was what I had said when they made that change, was they were wanting to be more balanced and do, carry the ball on the ground, not just run through the air. And so Joik is going to be the guy that does that. You have a bye week to get him just all the more healthy, to get that offensive line working. So, you guys had a water bet from the offseason that seemed insane that Andy could ever win it, because at the beginning of the year, it was second half of the year, Joik Bell versus Amir Abdullah.
Yes.
And right now, if I had to predict who's going to win that, I'm going to go
second half of the year starts.
Yeah, if I had to predict who was going to win, it would not be me, since Amir Abdullah cannot get on the field.
Yeah. A guy that I really like, we mentioned him already, but he's worth picking up. He's owned in most leagues, 57% of leagues, but C.J. Spiller is a guy that you should go out and grab with Kyrie Robinson being out, because Spiller's been very good. Andy gives a big frowny face because he dropped him going into this week.
Oh, no.
It
happens.
This week was terrible. I saved money all year long. I'm not the most frugal fab guy in general. I take the philosophy, you spend when you need to spend, and you get the guy and just be happy. It worked, signed Edelman last year real early, a lot of money. Spent $13 in last week on CJ Spiller, 13 fab. Nobody competed with me. Nobody bid against me, so I felt dumb spending 13 on Spiller. The news about Karlos Hyde comes out. I drop Spiller, spend $10 on Reggie Bush.
Which was a smart play.
Reggie Bush goes. Nobody bid against me, by the way. Maybe $1.
I didn't have a spot.
Reggie Bush goes sliding. By the way, Reggie Bush torn MCL, not ACL. So that is very good news for him. But $23 down the drain, and now Spiller's back on waiver wire. That's why that frowny face. You are correct, Jason. All right, I'm going to mention some other names. You guys talk about who you want to talk about. Karlos Williams, Chris Thompson, Matt Jones, David Cobb, Antonio Andrews.
Karlos Williams is a decent ad. I'd say he's pretty close to a must-add if you're a LaShawn McCoy owner.
Wouldn't you rather have Cobb or Andrews?
Not if you're a LaShawn McCoy.
I'm saying if you're a LaShawn McCoy owner, you want Karlos Williams because the carnage, man. You gotta buy that insurance right now. But so between, let's say, Thompson, Matt Jones, and David Cobb, and let's throw Antonio Andrews in there as well. What are you guys doing with these four?
Before the head coaching change with Kid and Wisenhunt, I didn't really want any of the running backs. I realized that someone could be valuable, but I could never anticipate a situation where I feel confident starting anyone from the Tennessee running game. However, with that coaching change and them maybe wanting to, try to get something going, I would take a flyer on either Andrews or Cobb, and I'd probably put them higher in that list. Cobb is probably the more exciting. He's the rookie that we haven't seen.
Right.
But Andrews has been playing well, so
I think of this list, I'd go with Chris Thompson, where the news out of Washington is still Matt Jones and Alfred Morris will continue to split, and Chris Thompson is the guy who gets in when they are down. And guess who Washington is playing this week?
New England.
The New England Patriots. They will be losing.
Yeah.
Sorry, Washington fans. So I expect a healthy dose of Chris Thompson this week, who could be a very sneaky PPR guy.
Rest of season, theoretic Chris Thompson.
Theoretic.
Yeah, I would do that too. So, let me ask you this, guys. Karlos Hyde is out. Reggie Bush is out. Mike Davis is out. Broken hand. Who do you sign? I mean, somebody has to play running back in San Francisco for Blaine Gabbert, right?
Pierre Thomas.
We didn't mention the Colin Kaepernick news.
Whoops. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of news. But Colin Kaepernick has been benched. He's terrible. He really is. I mean, I feel like if there's one thing I was wrong about. It was Colin Kaepernick in every way, shape, and form, except for the 2 weeks that he was my start of the week.
And he crushed it those
crushed
2 weeks.
Whoa. But, I thought he was going to ascend this year, not descend into the pit of whatever he's doing right now. So
the pit of Tom Sula. That's not a pit you want to be in.
It's like a Sarlacc pit.
The pit of Tom Sula. It's just filled with chest hair.
Really
All right.
stinky.
Who do we pick up?
Is it Kendall Gaskins?
The answer.
Hey, we talked about this yesterday off the air.
They will sign somebody too.
Hit the breaking news button.
Breaking news.
49ers have signed Pierre Thomas.
Dude!
In your face.
They did? They signed him?
Did you listen to me just like rewind the tape about 5 minutes? Yeah, I said, you said, who do you sign? I said Pierre Thomas. I called that one.
Workhorse. No, we need to debate this. This is fresh. Fresh news on the air. We need to debate this.
100% sign Pierre Thomas. He is a talented back, and he is the lone running back there, it seems like.
Hey,
Is
Gaskins
he depth?
around.
Is he depth, though?
No way. No way. Pierre Thomas, here's my thinking why he's not depth.
Be careful not to speak in such absolutes, my friend.
All right. Well,
Kendall Gaskins has been a part of this offense, this
Sure.
complex-to-learn offense.
let me
There are 8 plays.
This well-oiled machine.
Let me rewind and give out a realistic expectation here for Pierre Thomas. Pierre Thomas would not sign a veteran minimum contract. He didn't want to come in, and the reason he hasn't signed yet is because he thought he was worth more. And so I'm guessing that, this is breaking news. I don't know, but I'm guessing he signed not a veteran minimum contract, which means
they signed Shane Drawn, too.
which means
Sean Drawn.
Sean?
if they're paying him money, they're paying him to use him. Now, the starter is Karlos Hyde, and that's one thing we can't forget about here. Karlos Hyde is not gone for the year or anything like that. He's probably just
When you sign 2 guys, you might not be counting on him to come back.
well. Reggie Bush just went out, and then Matt Jones went out. 2 guys went out.
No, not Matt Jones.
Or
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis. I always their names are too
Moving
easy
on.
and simple.
But this signing to me, I'm not nearly as excited as Jason is. But of anybody from San Francisco, I would take a flyer on Pierre Thomas. This could be a Jim Tomsula desperately trying to save his job type of maneuver, where they have to. Tomsula has to win some games, or his career can be in trouble. So Pierre Thomas is a decent guy. I don't know of besides Ahmad Bradshaw, Pierre Thomas is the only running back I know of on the street right now who can come in and produce in kind of all phases of the game. So I think Pierre Thomas is. I'm
gonna go ahead and completely contradict you both, and I don't believe he'll be valuable in any way, shape, or form. I don't think anybody there will be valuable in any way, shape, or form.
That's
they
fair.
face the Seahawks. They face the Cardinals. Hyde will be back after the bye. Maybe I think is a waste of your fab. So
Yeah, well,
choose your favorite footballer.
I'm not saying spend anything on him, but if you're in a deeper league, taking a flyer on
that's
him,
fine.
He's a pass catching back.
A flyer's fine. That's what I did with Orleans Darkwa. That's that kind of guy. You just want to see what happens in a committee. I wouldn't count on him to be a contributing factor to your fantasy team.
I wouldn't drop a lot of money on him, but I would definitely pick him up.
All right, we gotta go through tight ends real quick. Somehow Jordan Reed's still on our waiver wire list because he's only owned in 52% of leagues, which is just insanity.
People, Jordan Reed.
Same with Ben Watson.
Jordan Reed, when he plays an entire game this year, he's put up double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, you pick him up and you play him.
Yeah, if you're listening right now and you've got Greg Olson, just go, everyone, check your waiver wire and see if Jordan Reed is there, because if he's on your waiver, you need to pick him up. Drop someone. He is worth that. Drop an Ahmad Bradshaw on your bench and pick him up.
Ben Watson still available in some leagues. He's got to be signed. We talked about Heath Miller having a much higher ceiling now that Big Ben is back.
And Lev Bell is gone.
Charles Clay, if he's been forgotten about in your league for some reason, been dropped. Tyrod Taylor's back. He had the best rapport with Tyrod Taylor, and Clay gets the targets.
Also, on Heath Miller, he's playing Oakland this week. So
oh, my goodness.
it's kind of a nice storm for
Heath
him.
Miller.
All right, we're going to get into our –
And Vernon Davis.
Yeah,
we
and
talked
Vernon
about.
Davis. We're going to get into our streams as well. You guys want to move on to that? You guys want to talk streams?
Just some quick defenses, matchups. It's the Bengals versus the Browns.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Rams versus Minnesota. The Patriots versus Washington. And I kind of like Philadelphia versus Dallas.
Love Philly versus Dallas. Yeah, absolutely.
So those are 4 that may or may not be available to you.
All right, let's go ahead and talk streamers.
Full stream ahead.
All right.
Oh,
before
Andy's shifting.
Before we get into our streams of the week,
arms.
yeah, I've stretched my arms out because I want to say a couple things. One, I want to let people know what this section is. Full stream ahead is our opportunity to tell you, if you're taking the approach that we kind of prescribe for most, for a lot of leagues, which is stream the quarterback position. Spend your early draft picks on running backs, wide receivers that are more valuable to your team because quarterbacks score so much. So we have this section we like to talk about streaming quarterbacks, which are guys that are available in more than 50% of leagues, pretty much. Isn't that our standard 60%?
Yeah, right around there, yes.
So let me just say this. We give you these guys. This is not go bench your superstar quarterback and play these guys. This is if you're streaming and need a good matchup and a good start, these are guys that we like to stream this week. Okay?
Yes.
I say that because I got some word from people saying, I benched Drew Brees to play your stream of the week.
Well, that being said, I probably no. I'm just saying. Last week, Drew Brees, nobody saw that 7-touchdown game coming, and
clearly I did. I just kept it to myself.
he would have, but yeah, I mean, you're not benching.
I will say this: if you are an Andrew Luck owner, you may want to pay attention to these three guys.
Fair enough.
Because I'm not playing Andrew Luck this week
against Denver.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's
so
gonna be
I'm
bad.
going with Tyrod Taylor. He's back. He's back, everybody. And he put up almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns the last time he played Miami. He's playing Miami again. Their defense got very exposed. The letdown of Guns Mahoney as the new coach kind of fell apart there as the Patriots just destroyed them.
Dismantled, disassembled, destroyed, all of those words.
Exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever your derogatory comment was. That's what happened to Miami last week, and Tyrod Taylor has been a spectacular fantasy quarterback, and he's been quite a good real-life quarterback.
They seem to take their time getting him back, too.
Yes,
so he's back in
believe
full
Tyrod
bore.
Taylor's fully healthy. He's good to go. You pick him up, and this is a streamer who may turn into your every-week quarterback.
Jason, who's yours?
Yeah, well, mine is similar.
You got to hit the button.
Oh, yeah.
Send in the car. Send in the car.
A similar vein in the sense that this is a quarterback that's quickly becoming a guy that can be near an every week starter because Derek Carr has gone up against 2 really tough matchups in San Diego and the Broncos and had good games. The
Jets, you mean?
Yes, the Jets.
Yes, the Jets.
And well, all 3.
He
right?
was okay against the Broncos, but he was great against the Jets.
But by comparison to what other people have done against the Broncos,
compared to Aaron Rodgers.
My point is he has been playing good. He's been playing great in good matchups.
He's been playing
and
well.
Good. Oh yeah, you're right. Playing well. Thank you, Mike. Playing well in hard matchups, and so he's got Pittsburgh, which has been a decent matchup lately, decent defense, and I expect this game with Big Ben another week back to be higher scoring. So Derek Carr is still available in a lot of leagues, and he's just been slinging it, and he's got the weapons to use now. So Derek Carr should be owned. Pick him up.
All right, I'm going to go with the ambiguous Jets quarterback versus Jacksonville at home. I think it'll be Ryan Fitzpatrick, and so that's kind of why this is my start. I like them at home, bounce back. Decker's been playing well. Marshall, I expect to play. So keep an eye on it.
At home versus Jacksonville.
At home versus Jacksonville.
Yes, that's a solid matchup for a quarterback.
And this has been a pretty resilient Jets team this year. When they've lost, they've come back in a big way. I expect their defense to be better. And I expect whoever's behind center, hopefully it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, to be a worthy start this week as a streamer. So not a ton of great options in the streaming world, so he's kind of my favorite of what's left. And you guys snuck into the show doc beforehand. Because Tyrod Taylor was at the top of my list.
For stealing Chris Johnson last week.
Yeah, that's what I get. So, all right, that's it for today's show. Thanks again for listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.
And some people were asking about the shirts. Where can people find the shirts, Andy?
Sure thing. Yes, if you go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, at the top of the page, there is a green button that says shirts. So if you want to buy a Fantasy Footballers shirt in any color you want.
Any color imaginable.
If you
Even
want
a
that
hoodie.
Yeah.
There's hoodies and long sleeves. But yeah, it helps.
Thank you.
It helps support the show. And speaking of supporting the show, we're an independent podcast, and we this is our full-time job. So head over to jointhefoot.com if you want to be a part of the show. just helping us out and helping yourself out with getting some great fantasy advice from other fans of the show, from us, exclusive stuff like an extra episode every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out, jointhefoot.com, and check us out. We're also on YouTube and the Fantasy Sports Network, and we will be back again tomorrow answering listener questions for the entire show. So stay tuned.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.